This video is all about fatherhood on The Sopranos.
Respect to my father.
Won't see every single father. Some will be talked about more than others. But it's really more of a 30,000-foot view.
Hey. Hey.
So, without further ado.
It's not the end of the world, Dan.
I'm depressed.
You're not depressed. You're sad and you're angry because you did something stupid and you got grounded.
You know how Tony tells Meadow, "You're all me, nothing gets by you"? They have a pretty close relationship, at least early on. And in many ways I think it's because they understand each other. Tony and Meadow's relationship sours at certain points.
Eric, accountability is everything.
Off-roading? I drove it onto the field at school to bring some girls to cheerleading practice.
They're all over the doors. I warn you and warn you, Eric.
But they make up. They move forward.
You need this body right away.
Way to go, Meadow!
Beautiful, beautiful. I think I can get a party like that together.
Side out. The ball hit the line.
What are you doing, ref?
With Sil, we mainly see his dad's side in action in season 1, but for what it's worth, I did enjoy Soccer Dad and Volleyball Dad Sil. Artie Bucco and his wife Charmaine have 3 kids, Kiara, Melissa, and Arthur Artie Bucco III. But other than a couple of times, we never really see Artie with his kids, or Charmaine for that matter. We just know that they exist in the background. In the first season, similarly to Sil, how they had him playing kind of more of an active father role, the same applied for Artie, which we see in Boca. But other than that, we don't really see much of Artie's dad's side.
The age, you got the seniority.
I also got an 18-year-old with MS, okay?
Larry Barese, he has a daughter, Melissa, that we only see once in season 1, episode 8, The Legend of Tennessee Moltisanti.
Yeah. Good seeing you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Melissa was beautiful up
Thank you
there.
very much. Thank you.
With Mikey Palmice, we know he has a kid from JoJo talking about it, but that's it. We don't ever actually see him with any children.
I already lined up childcare for Francis Albert, so I don't want to hear it.
Forget it. Something's come up.
Elbow up, Matt. Keep it straight.
Don't just have me pull more.
Fuck him. My son don't hit sacrifice flies.
We see Puss take an active role when he's there, but what about when he's not there? Surely his absence must have caused some mental turmoil for his children, even if they weren't physically in the house for all of it.
Anything you could do to change your father's mind?
I'm gonna try, John. I came all the way up here for that.
You put your sunblock on?
When Carmine asks, "You put your sunblock on?" Talk about a dad moment, huh?
You distracted me. I'm taking a mulligan. And the ego. I tell you, though, when I first met him, decisive as he is, I would have been proud to call him my own son.
Ouch.
Hey, Daddy! The boat is sinking!
Bobby Baccalieri is a very devoted father, both to Bobby Jr. and Sophia, along with Nika.
Daddy!
It took me by surprise. I knew that you felt it too.
Where you going?
Kevin's.
Who else is gonna be there?
Gene. As we know, Eugene died by suicide at the end of Members Only. And so when we think about fatherhood in that aspect, there's no way to sugarcoat it, there's no way around it. I can only imagine the complexities and the trauma and the processing of all that. So I think it's safe to say that both of Eugene's children were probably not in a very good place right after he died. And I guess it would remain to be seen how they were moving forward down the line. Johnny Sack is known for being a devoted husband, and he also was a very devoted father.
I'm sorry I blew my stack, okay? We're gonna get through this as a family, dignified, proud, despite all the persecution and roadblocks. When I say family, that includes you too, Eric.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, who?
Thank you, Dad.
Nice and your daddy's little girl.
God damn it, who are you? Minister of propaganda?
Hugh is the father of Carmela Soprano. The first time we see him, is in season 2, and then we see him basically all the way up through the end. He and Carmela have their little spec house project in season 6, so we see him quite a bit for that. He's a good father to Carmela. He's a loving dad, and he's also pretty old-fashioned. When Tony and Carmela are separated and they want to throw him a surprise party for his 75th birthday, Hugh finds out about the surprise, thanks Junior, and he says that if Tony's not invited to the party, he's not coming. Phil Leotardo had kids, but we don't actually ever see him really in a fatherly manner. The closest is probably when he takes Vito Jr. out for a silo. It's not a Sunday, it's a silo, remember.
Listen, Pally, you need to be rebellious. I raise kids. I get it.
For you.
You want a smack, too?
Christopher Moltisanti was only a father for a little while. Father to Caitlin.
I mean, you have a kid, and they look at you. You look back. And you're looking at yourself, really. Or part of you plus another person. That love.
Another character that we see in early season 5, Feech Lamanna, also didn't have children. He had a nephew, but no kids of his own. Perhaps that's why he was so reckless when getting out of prison. He didn't really have anything holding him back.
What? Nothing. Go ahead.
Look at me. You can't tell anyone, even your friends at school, that Daddy's home for a little while.
Vito had multiple stories going on simultaneously. There's the mask that he puts on for the outside world when he pretends to do something other than organized crime. And then also this other mask, his whole identity really, living with a wife and 2 kids while being gay, and everything kind of crashed together at once. It usually does, you know, when it rains it pours. It wasn't sustainable, just like you could make an argument that a life of organized crime as a whole isn't.
Understand. Dad wasn't a spy? No.
So how's it being home, Angelo? Enjoying living with your daughter?
It's like paradise. I eat like a pharaoh. I got my own room, cable TV.
When our parents get older, sometimes the roles switch. Like here, with Angelo, where he's now kind of become the child, and his daughter is more of like a mother figure. Just like I think Tony Blundetto legitimately and genuinely wanted to go down a new path when he got out of prison. I think he genuinely wanted the best for his kids. But just as his frustration reached a point where he couldn't really handle it anymore, the regularness anyway, we see that right here with his kids, from my point of view.
This. Ready?
That's when you were stationed in Saudi Arabia, right, Dad?
When one of the twins tells Tony B that he loves where AJ lives and that he doesn't want to come back here being the Blundetto home, it just breaks my heart. Tony B also had a daughter who actually lived with the Soprano family briefly back in the day. Her name's Kelly, and she's around Meadow's age. So when Tony B sees Meadow, I'm sure he misses Kelly even more.
Oh, Pop, they got roast pork.
Is that one? I don't know what it is.
Another interesting way that fatherhood comes into play later on is with Carlo. At the end of the series, his son gets arrested for dealing ecstasy, and there's a theory that Carlo then rats and flips in order to get leniency for his son. So, in this case, I guess Paulie was right, in the sense that fatherhood and their thing don't mix. In some cases.
Believe me, but Ralphie's the father, you'll be doing this kid in the next 3 generations a favor.
Always meant to find the ring, Dick.
Was Tony doing Justin a favor by taking Ralph out of the picture?
Justin, Baby.
I don't know what to do. The boy, he comes to the house.
Shut up. I gotta get help.
This scene here is a very important one because we finally get another chance to see what Johnny Boy Soprano was really like in the family context, the family at home. He's hanging out with his mistress, and Tony finally gets in touch with him and tells him that Livy is at the hospital because she's bleeding. She actually has a miscarriage, and that's why she was bleeding. And Johnny Boy tells him, I'll be on my way to the hospital, be right there. But he doesn't show up until the next morning. Not only that, he actually puts Tony on the spot to lie to his mother for him. To me, that spoke volumes about who Johnny Boy was. Tony actually has his first panic attack one evening right as dinner is being served at home. Earlier that day, he'd seen his father cut off Mr. Satriali's pinky for not paying him back on time. You know, the family. But, as was stated in their making ceremony, this family comes before everything else.
Everything. Before your wife, and your children, and your mother, and your father.
This man right here. He's like your father.
So at the end of the day, the real father is Tony Soprano and La Cosa Nostra. And that often comes into conflict with the other world, the world at home.
Where's Dad?
Another important thing to note when discussing fatherhood on The Sopranos is lack of fatherhood for two of our regular characters, Paulie Walnuts and Junior Soprano.
I look at her eyes, man, and she looks up back at me. How the fuck do I put myself up for adoption?
Ask me, marriage and that thing don't jive.
What are you going to end up like my Uncle Junior?
Or worse, like Paulie. Now I'm speaking to your point. You got no kids.
While Paulie talks about how marriage and kids don't work well when their other family is La Cosa Nostra, when we see Paulie struggling with his identity later on, especially after he finds out that Nucci and Dottie are actually his aunt and mother, I think that Paulie wished he could have had that real support system that only reaches a certain point in the world of organized crime. And same with Junior, as he points out in Camelot at his doctor appointment.
I beat prison, and for what? I have no children. Would somebody please explain this to me?
My dad? You obviously must have knew he had a crutch.
The reverse is also true, like with Christopher Moltisanti. We know he has a father. We see him in pictures even. Of course, we also see him in The Many Saints of Newark, although that's kind of separate. So we hear about this father, and I think it's a reminder for us that much of what we hear, whether on The Sopranos or even in real life, is a story. Now, how much of that story is true? How much of it is embellished? Not really true? Or completely bullshit? Sometimes it's hard to tell, and sometimes we'll never know. Like here, for example. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and would love to hear your thoughts.